Today, I'm going to talk about that isolation period, why God put us in isolation, or why most people who go through their spiritual awakening all talk about this isolation period, where I guess God put us or place us by ourselves where He can deal with us. It's almost like we're shedding our skin. And in that isolation period, we're dying to our old selves. And at times, we lose people. Most people who go through that spiritual awakening and that isolation period lose friends. They lose a lot of contacts. Or people think you're weird. They think you start going crazy. And most people have the same testimony when they go through that spiritual awakening. There's this isolation period. And God starts to deal with us. He starts to peel away the layers. And as He's peeling away the layers, He's also removing people, place, things from our lives. And isn't it ironic? Sometimes when He removed the people from our lives, I guess those are who you call the gatekeepers, monitoring spirits, watching you to go back and tell whomever, I don't know, they're probably agents, I don't know what you call them. But for some reason, when those people start to be removed from your lives, they try to find a way back in. Sometimes you block them, or you change your number. Some people relocate. And for some reason, the same people God is trying to isolate you from, they try to come back into your space. And especially when God shows you who they are. Because while God is dealing with you and you're dying to your old self, you have to also be separated from the old. Fake friends, fake whatever you want to call them. There are times when you thought they were your friends, but they were never your friends. They were sent to monitor you. And sometimes they're in our lives for decades. Sometimes they're in your immediate family, in your bloodline. That's why Jesus said the sword is going to be in your own household. Mother against daughter, father against son. Mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, husband against wives. A lot of people go through this spiritual awakening, realize they were sleeping, living with the enemy. A lot of people get divorces when they come into this spiritual awakening. Why it happens, I don't know. Why does it happen to some people and not others? I don't know. I still can't wrap my brain around why some people are chosen to be awakened and yet some stay in the delusion. And God says that He causes our delusion. That's the scary part to me. And it's interesting. While I was going through my awakening, and I think a lot of people went through their awakening in 2020 during the pandemic. Some people said 2015. Mine was 2020, when the veil starts to come off my eyes. And I started to see the world for what it is. People for who they are. And not sugarcoat things. It's like this big whoosh of energy that comes in and open your eyes, and you see the world in a totally different light. And it's amazing that a lot of people go through that awakening. Their testimony, the testimony is pretty similar, where one day they just wake up. I mean, I didn't just wake up to something, some truth. You still won't know everything, but when I woke up, I saw everything. I saw people for who they are. And I started seeing me for who I am, because God is going to show you you. He's going to deal with you first in that isolation period, where he starts to peel back the layers, the stuff you used to do. Well, I didn't want to do anymore. The people I was associated with, I wasn't interested in being affiliated with them anymore. There's this one particular friend, so-called friend, thought she was my friend. Apparently she wasn't my friend. Was a snake in the grass the whole time. When God brought me through this awakening and removed the scale from my eyes, I saw that individual for who she is. And when you start block, delete, people start to show up. This individual, when I blocked her on all platforms, or whatever you want to call it, this individual showed up at my house. She lives in another state. Unbeknownst to me, she was in my state, and she showed up. And when my brother was at the house at the time, one of my brothers came by. When this individual rang the bell, apparently she walked in because she was very familiar with the setup, the setting. But my brother didn't really know who she is. And this individual proceeded to walk past my brother and to find me in my house, uninvited. And I could hear my brother running behind her and yelling and calling out my name to alert me that someone was coming. And when I saw this young lady, this person, I was a bit surprised, because as far as I know, you're in another state. And this is what they do. When you start to cut the head of the snake, the gatekeepers, the enemy will show up. And that was an interesting scenario. And I had to proceed to kick that person out of my house, like physically remove her. It's just very weird, that isolation period, and what people do to try to stay connected to you, to monitor you. It's very wild. And, God put us in isolation for a reason. He's going to gather his children. And even if we don't want it, a lot of times most people don't want they don't even know it's happening, or you don't even know why God would choose you and put you through this isolation period. And it builds character. At the end of the day, when you can get through the isolation with you and God, and you're more aware, and you're God aware, and you can see people before they even show up, you're like, wow, this is wild. That's why really and truly the Bible says guard your heart. Because sometimes the things we think, or whatever it is, we can manifest it. It really can happen. I don't know if people call it telepathy, where you think it and you manifest it. Put it that way. A form of manifestation. And the Bible says we must guard our heart. You know. So they will show up. They will show up because they try to gatekeep us. You know. But the great thing about this isolation period, you gain this form of peace, this kind of strength in God. And so many people say the same thing. They say the same thing. And a lot of people went through this phase in 2020. And it's like you can go to the store, you can go outside, and you'll see somebody you don't know, total stranger. And you start talking with the person. And you have similar stories, similar testimonies. It's quite interesting. But the isolation period is it's an interesting time, very interesting. You know, you get information. Things will just almost as if it fall into your lap without you go looking for anything. You start getting information. You start even learning you, because God is going to deal with you first. Yeah, it's interesting.